This is Scotty, this is Ozzy, and this is the puppy Lilo. Now, Scotty here specifically has gone after Lilo. Not a really aggressive, but well, I guess aggression, but it hasn't been like what I would consider an attack. But I think it comes when she has one of his toys, or if he thinks she's going to get a resource or something. So this is basically a little bit of a counter conditioning exercise, and this is similar to what I did with my puppy. When I had my puppy. Now I have two adults, and I brought the puppy, and the adults were like not that into the puppy because the puppies can be annoying. They jump up, they chew, they take your stuff, they destroy it. And so what I ended up doing was anytime that my adults would show any interest in the puppy, I would pet them or give them attention. Now we were just doing this off camera and it was going well, and then he took it too far and went after the puppy, and the puppy came close. Now he has some issues. He can't have any chicken, and I have chicken-related treats. So we basically have some. We have a strip of cheese that we cut down into strips. So this is kind of maybe like a 1/4 of an inch by 1/4 of an inch. So what it allows me to do is let the dog chew on it. Come here, buddy. As you can see, I can change the orientation of his head by where I'm holding the treat to get him to look at whatever I want. So what I want to do is, can you call Lilo over?
Lilo, come here. Come here, Lilo.
Put your hand down with the treats.
Come here, Lilo.
There you go. So what I want him to do is I'm going to, actually, let's get you over here, Scotty. Come here, buddy. Scotty. Come here. Scotty, come here. Here. Okay, well, we'll do it this way. So I want him looking at it.
Lilo,
Bring Lilo
come here.
over here.
Come here, Lilo.
And I'm going to put you over here. So what I'm doing is I'm letting him nibble on the treat while he's looking at Lilo. Now this is a little bit close. I'm an expert, so you might want to have him a little bit further away at first. And I'm just kind of pushing the treat towards so that he's looking at the dog while this is happening. So dogs learn through association. So if every time he sees Lilo, well, not every time, but when we're doing this experiment, he's looking at Lilo while he's chewing on this high-value treat, after a while that creates a positive association with Lilo. And so when I see Lilo, I think about the treat that I got that was really delicious. Now you're kind of in the way, buddy. Come here, Ozzy. There we go.
Lilo, come here. Come here, Lilo.
So make sure the dog is looking at the other dog. Now, I normally like to make the dog sit before I do it. Now, don't try to bring Lilo too close. We want to have Lilo at least 3 feet away, because there is a potential for Scotty to growl or nip at Lilo, thinking that Lilo is coming over to take the treat from him. And so I'm just kind of allowing it to go into his mouth while he's looking at her. Now, you can also do this with petting, but a high-value reward like a piece of cheese or something like that I find can be beneficial. But again, the way you're kind of interacting, you're kind of enticing Lilo to come over towards him, and that could create a problem. So we want to keep the distance far enough away, just like us, like little kids. If your family celebrates Christmas, the day, December 1st, the tree goes up and the presents are on the tree, you're like, ooh, my presents, what do I have? And then December 23rd, you're like, oh my God, what is in those presents? So we're getting closer and closer, so that it ramps up the intensity. The closer the distance it decreases between the dogs, the more likelihood that a potential change or something like that can happen. Now, if you're petting, like right here, he's petting Lilo. This is also a good thing for the dog, for Scotty to look at. So he's getting a treat while he's watching one of his guardians pet Lilo. So the guardian petting Lilo doesn't mean I'm not getting attention. In this case, I can watch and appreciate that, and when Lilo gets attention, I get a treat. Can we get Lilo some more attention? Is kind of what the dog will start to essentially associate. So now, if there is a fight, there just was one, and I did something I usually don't like doing. I kind of put him on his side just because I wanted to make sure that the fight didn't continue. It's called an alpha roll. I really don't like doing it, and I just did it in a very brief capacity. So the idea is really to prevent anything from happening to begin with. Now, during a fight, you got to do what you got to do. And because this is a puppy in a really, it's still in a critical socialization period, this can be something that really the dog carries with it for a long time. So I want to talk about real quick some of the signs that he's going to display before he reacts. So one of the first things that a dog usually, right there, that was a little bit too close. One of the first things the dogs will do is they'll stare, usually with a lowered head. And a direct stare is a big challenge, but they can also stare like this. And I'm looking there, but I'm orientated here. That's a big warning as well. If I'm all of a sudden, I'm hanging out, all of a sudden I go, and I freeze, that's a big warning as well. So if you see him freeze. If he starts breathing heavy or stops breathing, those are also big communications. A lot of dogs have what we call hackles, which is the hair on their back along their spine, usually prominently between their shoulder blades and between their hip blades. Some people call it a mohawk. That's an involuntary reflex trying to look bigger. Some dogs will put their tail straight up. He kind of has a docked tail, so you won't really see that very much. The ears will rotate forward. Baring the teeth can also be another communication. Now, when you have a resource like this and he's getting the resource and the puppy approaches, that could trigger a response. So that's a different scenario. What we were doing is I was delivering a resource and a different person was enticing the puppy. So don't be trying to do it yourself with both dogs, because that can create a problem. So this is one of the things that Scotty gets upset about, is when the puppy takes his toys. Now again, I think a lot of this is related to not having rules and structure, we just got done talking about. But the more that we can create a positive association, either through the counter conditioning, so he's chewing on the, so when he has a toy, especially a toy that Scotty really doesn't want him to have him chewing on it while he's looking at the puppy chewing on the toy. Now, they don't have collars on right now, but one of the things I like to do when I'm doing counter conditioning is have the dog on a collar and on a leash, so that if we don't read the signs right or something happens, he lunges at the dog, I have a tool to prevent him from getting there, or if they do go after it, I can pull him away. So this is a little bit of that staring that I was talking about earlier. It's not bad because the distance is greater, and he kind of broke it off, so this is why I didn't disagree with him. Yeah, you're a good dog when you're not being a little bit possessive of your toys. Now, eventually, Lilo is going to be big enough where it's not going to be an issue. But if a human has a resource or has something like a toy like this, and she approaches when the other dog is here first, that can create that problem. So we want to try to avoid those associations. That's basically, oh, there we go. So watched it, but the ears are back. Ear back is a little bit more subordinate, unless they're all the way back. So right there, let's try that again. Come here, sweetheart. Trying to do that for Scotty's purposes, but it's not working. There we go. So he's come up, his body, also stiffness of the body is another sign to look out for. So I corrected him and disagreed with him before anything escalated, and he was able to let it go. See the ears going back there. Now you want to play a little tug of war on this? There we go. Now I would probably facilitate it being in between them at first if they're doing a tug of war. And I don't want to have him staring, which he's doing a little bit of. So right there we had this in between. Otherwise that would have gone towards her. So that's why I was just talking about, I wouldn't probably want to have the tug of war going on at this stage between them. Eventually they'll be buddies and they'll be doing it a lot. And she's going to be a lot bigger, and he's going to enjoy doing it with her because it's going to be more of a challenge. But right now, her confidence level is very low because she's a puppy, and he's kind of been not happy or not the most pleasant guy around her at different situations. So we want to just make sure that we structure things so that we don't have any of those dust-ups. If she's going to be playing with any toys, we want to make sure that we're supervising it. Having him on a leash while we're here to supervise him also wouldn't be a bad idea. Sometimes some people will do it. You don't want to tether your dog too much. But you could get a leash, like a 4-foot leash, run it around the leg of the couch, then run it through the handle, and then attach it to his collar. That gives him the ability to get this far, or however far forward feet go. This way, if Lilo is playing with the toy here, and he rushes at her, it's probably going to still spook Lilo, and she's going to run away, but this prevents him from being able to actually get to her. The more that he actually does attack her, dogs get better at anything they do, and this would be one of those things. Now, I don't think, because it's, what I'm seeing, he seems to be pretty mellow, I think, or mild. I think he just wants to get her to leave his stuff alone. Once she does, he stops it. But we don't want it to escalate or get worse. So just doing that counter conditioning. Now, if there are no toys, there's no objects around, and he comes over and he's kind of sniffing towards, we can kind of pet, but I would kind of try to pet like this so that I have my hands between, so if I need to, I can block and pull them away. Last little thing, if you got a dog fight and he's on the other dog, grab him by his back paws and pull him away with his back paws. Sometimes you get bit if you stick your hand in between, and the dog didn't do it intentionally, it's just trying to bite the other dog, or it's just got its eyes closed, doesn't know what's biting. If you grab them by their back paws and pulls them away, you take away half of their leverage, they're a little bit off balance, and if they're going to bite you, they have to turn around, they see it's you, and sometimes most of the time they will stop for that. But the best way to stop a dog fight is prevent it from happening in the first place. And we do things like making sure he has plenty of exercise before we do these activities. Give him a recovery period. But if he's got a ton of energy and then we try doing this stuff, he's already, this is why we give recess to kids at school. We want to burn off that energy so they can learn about Ben Franklin or whatever it is. All right, so this is how we can, there we go. Now also, before I forget, one other thing, sometimes the dog will come, like if I'm petting Lilo right here, and then he will walk over and walk right here in front of us, he's trying to cut her off. So I would move him back, ask him to sit or do something, and then pet and reward him for doing it, rather than letting him get in between, because he's trying to control access for me. She's doing something cute in the corner. All right, so this is how we can use a little positive association to help dogs that are a little bit annoyed about the puppy feel better about them.